The history of racism, from ancient civilizations to modern times. Welcome to Historium, where we explore the stories that shaped our world. In today's video, we're diving into a powerful and thought-provoking topic, the history of racism. From ancient civilizations to the struggles of our modern world, we'll uncover how prejudice evolved and its lasting impact on societies. This journey will take us through pivotal moments in history, showing how racism became deeply ingrained in cultures and institutions over time. Stay with us to explore one of humanity's most pressing issues and learn how understanding our past can shape a better future. To truly understand the history of racism, we must travel back to ancient civilizations. These were societies where human differences began to take root as reasons for division. Language, culture, and appearance became early markers of identity and, subsequently, prejudice. In places like ancient Egypt and Greece, these distinctions began subtly influencing the perception of the other, setting the stage for future discrimination. While these early societies didn't exhibit racism in the modern understanding, the seeds of prejudice were certainly planted. Differences in language and culture began to foster a sense of superiority among certain groups, gradually leading to the entrenched racial hierarchies that would later dominate the world stage. With the expansion of European empires came the systematic spread of racial ideologies. Colonial powers, driven by the desire for land, resources, and control, carried with them ideologies that proclaimed European superiority. The colonization of vast territories across Africa, Asia, and the Americas institutionalized these racist ideologies, permanently altering the lives of indigenous populations. Colonialism was supported by pseudo-scientific theories that categorized humans into races, ranking them in a hierarchy with Europeans at the top. These theories provided a convenient justification for exploitation and oppression, cementing racism at the heart of colonial expansion. One of the most brutal outcomes of colonialism was the Transatlantic Slave Trade. This horrific chapter in history saw over 12 million Africans forcibly taken from their homelands and shipped to the Americas. These individuals were treated as property, subjected to unimaginable horrors in the name of economic gain. The slave trade had profound and long-lasting impacts on global demographics, economies, and societies. It further entrenched ideologies of racial superiority and inferiority, with echoes of this brutal system still felt today in the form of systemic inequalities and racial tensions. Moving into modern times, racism entered a new phase, becoming enshrined in the laws and policies of nations. In the United States, the end of the Civil War did not conclude the struggle against racial discrimination. Instead, it paved the way for the Jim Crow laws, which formalized segregation and inequality. African Americans were disenfranchised and denied basic human rights, creating a deeply divided society. Meanwhile, in South Africa, the apartheid regime implemented a similarly oppressive system. Laws were enacted that segregated the population by race, restricted movements, and perpetuated inequality. Both Jim Crow and apartheid created systemic barriers to the social and economic advancement of marginalized racial groups. Despite the oppressive systems of Jim Crow and apartheid, resistance was fierce. In the United States, the civil rights movement emerged as a powerful force for change, led by figures like Martin Luther King Jr. and Rosa Parks. These leaders, alongside countless courageous activists, worked tirelessly to dismantle segregation and secure voting rights, striving for racial equality through nonviolent protest and advocacy. In South Africa, activists like Nelson Mandela led the charge against apartheid, enduring imprisonment and hardship in the fight for freedom. Their efforts highlighted the global struggle for racial justice, inspiring movements across the world to challenge oppressive regimes and demand equality. As we delve into the present day, we find that overt forms of racism are often condemned, yet subtle and systemic racism remains pervasive. Institutional discrimination continues to affect education, employment, and law enforcement, with racial disparities evident in wealth and health outcomes. Modern racism is less about explicit laws and more about entrenched structures that maintain inequality. From biased policing to unequal educational opportunities, these issues represent a continuation of historical injustices. Yet thanks to social media and technology, anti-racist voices are amplified globally, bringing awareness and sparking crucial conversations about equity and justice. In the digital age, technology and social media have emerged as powerful tools in amplifying anti-racist voices and movements. Platforms like Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook allow for the rapid dissemination of information, bringing global attention to issues of racial injustice and inequality. Movements such as Black Lives Matter have harnessed the power of social media to raise awareness, mobilize supporters, and push for policy changes. By uniting individuals across the world, technology empowers us to challenge racism, share stories, and demand accountability from institutions. Understanding the history of racism is crucial for fostering a more equitable future. By examining the connections between past injustices and present-day inequalities, we can better address the systemic issues that perpetuate discrimination. Education plays a pivotal role in this process, equipping individuals with the knowledge and skills needed to recognize and challenge racism in all its forms. Educating ourselves and engaging with diverse perspectives are vital steps in the fight for equality. As we learn from history, we become more aware of the impacts of prejudice and segregation, inspiring us to create a world rooted in understanding, empathy, and inclusion. While the history of racism is filled with moments of prejudice and oppression, it is also marked by resilience and hope. As we move forward, we must continue the fight against discrimination and strive to build a more inclusive and equitable society. This journey requires a commitment to understanding our shared history, challenging biases, and embracing diversity. Every individual can contribute to this effort, whether through education, advocacy, or personal reflection. By fostering a culture of inclusion, empathy, and respect, we can work towards a future where equality is the norm and racism has no place. In conclusion, the history of racism is a complex tapestry of human interaction, marked by deep injustices and enduring struggles for equality. Our journey has spanned from ancient prejudices through colonial exploitation to modern systemic inequalities. By understanding this history, we equip ourselves to challenge racism in all its forms and build a future grounded in justice and empathy. As students and educators, the responsibility to learn from the past and inspire change falls upon us. Let us commit to this journey with courage and determination, knowing that the fight for racial justice is far from over, but together we can pave the way for a more inclusive and equitable world. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of racism. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Historium for more stories that explore the past and shape the future. Let's keep learning and growing together. See you in the next video.